Okay, we're recording now. And I'm going to share my screen. I'll be right back. I have to leave this meeting in order to share my screen because this is a new, I haven't used that on this computer yet. I'll be right back.
There we go.
Switch, but they want to leave right after the dedication. Can we do the dedication before the for all ages?
We can.
Okay.
No
Now
problem.
Now I just need to get the live stream going. I'm going to go ahead and let people in while we're doing that, Sarah. So let's do that.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Alan and Allison, both of our Allisons, Fox and Cole. Good morning to the whole Rayhill family. Good morning, Bruce.
Morning, Sarah.
Hi, Wentz. Good morning, Cece. Good morning to Kathy Tanner. And good morning to Kathy Cannon. Hi, Cindy Cook and Cindy Wentz. Hi, Danny, welcome back. Good morning, David. And good morning to Diane Kennedy and Diane O'Brien. Hi, Doris. Thank you, everyone, for being so patient this morning as we try to sort out just a couple of technical things. Good morning, Helen and Gail. Morning, Gargi and Leah. Good morning, Blackman family. Greg and Marshall and Kendall. Good morning to Jackie Anderson and to Jane Alexander and Jane Gosling. Good morning to Janet and to Jenny Umibi and Jen Davison. Good morning, Jerry Hoover. Hello, Murphy Clan, John. And good morning to Judith Murphy. Good morning to Judy Lumbert. And of course, the Herrick Kenyans and Lynn Martin. We're so happy to see you all today. It's a short day, the shortest day of the year, but we get to spend it together. Good morning to Marilyn and Martha Perlman. Good morning, Mary. Mary Gosling, Mary May.
Hello, everyone. Good morning and welcome to All Souls Unitarian Church. My name is Greg Sanders, and I'm very proud to be the music director here at All Souls. And I'm also helping to oversee our tech efforts during our COVID services. We continue to experiment to try to figure out a way to bring you the best service possible. And so again, thank you for your patience today as we try to hone in our skill set on bringing you a service from our lovely facility. Today, we are celebrating the winter solstice with a service on the solstice. Reverend Joel Miller is presiding. If you have any questions through the service, we invite you to ask me over the chat. I'm happy to help you with whatever I can. You're best suited to enjoy the service in speaker view. And you'll notice that we also have a slide presentation we do concurrently with the message of the morning. Hymn lyrics are there. Lots of other information is there, so we encourage you to engage in that way as well. Please stay muted throughout the service so we can make sure that everyone can hear what needs to be heard. We appreciate you joining us today, and Reverend Miller has some opening words for us.
When the darkness is cold, and when the light is bright, hot, unforgiving. The solstice brings us together with the warmth of darkness and a light of hope. The solstice can be a teacher, and we can participate in its promise of birth and rebirth. Welcome this morning to our celebration of life.
Good morning, and welcome to Virtual All Souls. My name is Graham Cannon, and I'm your worship associate today. All Souls is an all-inclusive, all-welcoming community. We nurture both spiritual and mental growth, and and mental growth, and encourage the active search for meaning. We welcome you to here be your full self, your whole identity, including your ethnic heritage, sexual orientation, or gender identity. We make a home for people of varying faith beliefs and for those who are free thinkers. We unite around putting love in action. We lead with love, we embrace hope, and we face our biases and prejudices with clear eyes. We will act in ways that help move the arc of the universe toward justice. We listen to the opinions of all others. We are united by our covenant and by our belief that diversity is richer than uniformity. We invite those of you who are visiting or haven't been here in a while to fill out a connection card. There will be time to fill out these connection cards later in the service. First-time visitors, if you fill out your online connection card, you'll receive a small gift of appreciation. We invite you to share your thoughts, feelings, and questions, along with your contact information and interests. Now please join us in reciting our covenant as Livy Salvo lights our chalice. Love is the spirit of this church,
and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. This is our covenant.
Is he talking?
As the days get darker, the tides go further from shore. If we could look into the water, we would see ourselves, our reflection. A lot of people use the solstice to reflect. They use the dark days to look inward, to see themselves in a new light, or I guess in a new dark. We can use this time to look back over the effects of this year. When I think about reflection, I think back to youth cons hosted by the UUA. We always have worship at roughly 11 at night, right before bed. On the second day of youth cons, the only full day, the youth get to help the Hasey staff design the worship. Hasey being the Heartland Area Youth Council. My favorite worship I've ever made was very simple. We all sat in a circle in the atrium of All Souls, and I had been in charge of running the worship workshop where the youth helped to plan the service, much like the worship associates do here. We had a main activity that was called Vibe Check, when we would all close our eyes and think inward at how we felt about the day, the week, and then the month. We would then think about the emotions we were feeling and send them out to the rest of the circle. You couldn't exactly get the emotions that were being sent, but you could feel their presence. We felt the waves and ripples from each person's reflection. We felt tired feelings, happy feelings, feelings of peace and turmoil, feelings of chaos and creativity, and many more feelings. This was a way to look inward and then look out and sense what others saw inside themselves. We first tried this around a cell phone flashlight because we couldn't find a chalice. The simplest of moments with the simplest thing set forward a new type of reflection for the UU youth community in the Heartland area region. Now, I ask you to take a look inside and reflect on the events of this year. This year has been a twister of fear and pain, and in some faint areas, joy. Look back and reflect on those moments. Acknowledge the darkness, right? Acknowledge the darkness. Right now, the tide is far out. We are in our solstice. More sun will come, and now think about the tide of joy coming back in and slowly creeping up the beach. The tide will complete the cycle for this solstice. We will see more sun, more hope, the pandemic will change, and we will move on. Blessed be.
A community exists to make us human and more fully human, and to welcome life into this world. And you, the people of All Souls Church, you gather the spirit of love. You gather it for these people. You gather it for this child. The gravity of your commitment pulls you into deep connection. Gravity, because parents, families depend on communities to help their children grow well. Because parents depend on us for support. Gravity, because this invitation to dedicate and bless this child changes everything for all of us. We, the people of All Souls, all tiny in that little camera there, which we hope is working at the moment, giving our tech this morning. We, the people of All Souls, are here to celebrate and support you. This child, newly born, comes to us in the loving arms of her parents. She is the beautiful flowering of a family's love. Her parents and this beautiful family ask us to bless the dedications they make this morning and this child. Let us now dedicate ourselves to her future. This is our covenant, to answer you with our lives as a grateful yes. A dedication is in part a practice of mindfulness. It's an encouragement to stop our busyness whenever we can. Not always so easy when you've got diapers to change and dinner to cook and got to get to work and there's so much to do. Don't forget to take time to see her smile, to remember your own sighs of joy. Because it's in moments like that that the spirit of life and love is shining for us. And in those moments, we remember how beloved we all are. We all belong here in this world, in this beautiful life. A dedication reminds us, too, of the importance of parents to a child's life, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, religious education teachers, church friends, mentors when she gets older, entire neighborhoods, congregations, cities, nations. It is a great honor and a great work for all of us to care for our children. Laura, Evan, this dedication is first and foremost for you. It's one of the most powerful things you will ever do in becoming a parent. You are the primary teacher in your daughter's life. You teach by the examples of your own lives. You teach by the opportunities you shape for her. In the shelter of your lives, she will become an adult. And so we celebrate you and your dedication to your daughter and the relationships, the great web of relationships that surround you and support you. Evan, do you, and Laura, do you dedicate yourselves to raising this child to love the world, to give her your love, to show her the power of compassion, to share your hopes with her, to practice forgiveness? Do you dedicate yourselves to show her your inner lights so that hers will shine as well? If so, answer, we do. We do. This child's extended family is here to dedicate themselves as well. It is through extended family and community that she will learn how life is rooted both in past and future. Do you, the extended family and grandparents of this child, dedicate yourselves to her and her family? If so, answer, we do. All Souls religious community reminds us that we become human because of our humanity with and for each other. And so, people of All Souls, do you rededicate yourselves to the care and nurture of this spiritual home, this place of love and words on your wall of worship, of service, also on that wall, the search for truth? Do you dedicate yourselves to this child and her place among us? If so, answer, we do.
We do.
We do.
What names have you given this child?
Lillian Christine Snyder.
Lillian Christine Snyder. Behind you is a rose. If you would like to take one of those out. Yeah. Lillian Christine Snyder, we celebrate the flowering of your life and the wholeness that is your spirit. We are gathered from near and far to bless you on your journeys. And so we've offered you this rose, a blessed flower of the earth, a symbol of the many flowering gifts yet to blossom from your life. We bless you with these words, our words of commitment, carried on air, so that your life is filled with harmony and friendship. We offer you the light of our lives in that chalice behind you, that your life is filled with love and spirit, and that your life always be bright and beloved. And lastly, right here, water. And with water, we cherish you. Water is the stream of life from which we are all born, and we are always interconnected. May all your connections with this world, with your family, with the mystery that is beyond all words, may it always bring you blessings, bring you joy. Lillian, welcome to the world. We love you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. For those of you who might not know me, my name is Sarah Cannon, and I'm your Director of Children's and Community Programming. And the winter solstice is such a perfect time to welcome a new baby into our midst. And so it's with great joy that I'm here with you today. At our Friday evening solstice service, we talked about a family ritual of waiting for the new day and the warmth of the sun. But today, I want to share a story with you of celebrating the solstice by honoring the moon during the longest night. There are some who say we should stay up all night on the longest night of the year. And there are others who say that you should sleep all night and go fishing for dreams in the pools of Mother Night. Luna's family was the second kind. All evening, they had kept the lights low. Luna, her mom, her aunt, and her brother were all drinking hot cider and eating fresh bread they had baked that day, smeared with honey. Winter solstice night was a slumber party night. They all arranged their sleeping bags in a circle on the floor with their heads facing toward the middle. In the center of the circle was their biggest glass mixing bowl, full of water. Around it, they had arranged some of their favorite art they made that year. The whole family stayed up late on solstice night, but only to make sure they'd be good and tired. When it was almost time to go to sleep, they passed around slips of paper and washable markers. Luna took a blue marker because blue was her favorite color. She carefully wrote down a question she had about the coming year. But I'm not going to tell you what it is, because questions like that can be very personal. When she was ready, she took her slip of paper to the bowl, dropped it in, and watched. As the water began to soak into the paper, the ink from the marker dissolved, drifting slowly away and making the water even bluer. Then Luna slipped into her sleeping bag, checking to make sure that her journal and colored pencils were nearby. She even had a very small flashlight in case she woke up in the middle of the night from a dream she needed to write down. Luna's aunt lit a candle and said, "Winter solstice is the celebration of the birth of the sun, the divine child of the goddess. In our own lives, this longest night can be a time of journeying deep into the sea inside our minds to bring forth a dream that can help us in the year to come." Luna's mother stirred the water in the bowl with her fingers and said, "Sacred water, which passes from the womb of Mother Earth into the rain and rivers and back again, you who nourish us and quench our thirst, you who can slip through the cracks and erode even the strongest of obstacles. Help us now to dive into the depths of the darkest night and ask for a dream. We ask for a dream of healing, a dream to show us where to go in the coming year, a dream to show us what we need to see. So mote it be. Then they turned the lights out, and Luna's aunt told them a solstice story, the very same one I told you last Friday, in fact. Before she had finished it, Luna fell asleep, and she dreamed. Sometimes dreams are like stories, and sometimes they're more like ideas or images. Luna's family knew this. So when they woke up in the morning, they were very quiet at first. Each of them opened their journals where they drew pictures or wrote down what they could remember. Luna felt shy about sharing her dream, but she wasn't sure what it meant. So she decided to see if anyone else did. I dreamed about a big golden bear climbing a green mountain. At the top, it jumped into a blue lake and caught a red fish. Luna's brother answered in the special way they used to help each other think about dreams. Once I had a dream about a cat catching a mouse, and the mouse was a symbol for a soccer ball. I wanted to be the cat and get really good at interceptions. That was how they did it. They didn't say what they thought your dream meant, only what a similar dream had meant for them. Luna liked that. She was the youngest, and people were always trying to tell her how things were. This was more helpful. When they were finished sharing, Luna's aunt said, "Blessed water, thank you for easing our journey into the night and back again. Thank you for our dreams and our visions. Thank you for the light that is born from the womb of darkness. As we send you on your way back to the mother, we bid you hail and farewell." They walked to a nearby creek and poured the water in to keep it cycling on its way. When they got home, Luna took the picture of the bear and mountain out of her journal and hung it by her bed. Then she helped her family make pancakes, round like the sun, for breakfast. There was one thing Luna knew for sure about the new year. On the next winter solstice, they would do this special ritual all over again.
Everyone, we can't hear Nazreen. Let me sort of solve that for us, okay? I'll solve this problem. 1 second. We just can't hear her right quite yet. Reverend Miller, if you can unmute the laptop, then we should be able to hear her.
Hi there.
There
Can
she
you
is.
hear me
Thank
now?
you. Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you all for being so forbearing as we work out these tech glitches. There are so many moving parts, and for myself, it is a joy to work with a team that keeps their cool and treats each other with respect and love, even as we encounter these various technical difficulties. This morning, we celebrate the life of Lillian Christine Snyder, and this is such a wonderful, wonderful joy for all of us to partake in this morning. And it is difficult to not be here in person. It is difficult to not ooh and ah over the precious baby dresses and to hold the parents and to give them our support. So this is both a joy and a concern. We also want to celebrate the arrival of Pierce Riff Murphy, John and Jane's new grandson. Welcome to the world. Welcome to our community. We celebrate that with you, John and Jane. I want to bring up a concern. Tom Seibert, who has had a difficult bicycle accident, please do send him your care and your thoughts and prayers as well. The other thing I want to bring up this morning and lift up as a concern is that it is Christmas season. It is solstice season. It is the holidays. However it is that you celebrate, you celebrate. And I want to lift up the grief that is intermingled with our joy this season as we are unable to celebrate with loved ones, as we are unable to give gifts in person, as we are unable to break bread together and cook for each other. And I want to lift that up this morning. And I also want to include an exhortation that perhaps this year our gifts are different. Perhaps this year the gifts of solitude, the gifts of routine, the gifts of grief, these are all spiritual practices that are less joyful, less fun than music, than dance, than celebration. But perhaps this season, those are the gifts we're given. And perhaps this season, those gifts, dwell in them, and say, what can
And these gifts are with us. Let us make now, in the silence that follows, a place of warmth, a place that is dark and nurturing, a place that welcomes the light of hope and of rebirth. For the darkness, for the light, for the gifts we are to the world and each other. We say, Amen, so be it, blessed be. I am so grateful that I get to work with this amazing staff. They're cool in dramatic tech failures and just our constant need to learn new tech almost week by week. I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for their beautiful words and their beautiful music, beautiful stories. So here we are in a season of solstice. The moon orbits the earth spins and tilts, and the earth orbits the sun. Sometimes it's summer, and those of us in the north are tilted closer, more direct angle. And then in the solstice, we're tilted away, and our angle toward the sun, distant, oblique. The solstice here in Indianapolis is about 6:30 a.m. tomorrow. That moment when the northern half of the earth has tilted at its furthest and will begin now to tilt back. The moon has been a waxing crescent moon for the last week. Waxing meaning that it's growing. It's been growing from a new moon. And on December 21st, tomorrow, it will be a first quarter moon, meaning that half the moon as we see it is dark and half the moon is light. Because the earth is rotating, the position of the moon changes over the earth each day. So the seas and the oceans are pulled back and forth by the gravity of the moon as its relationship to the seas changes with the earth's orbit. You know, I always thought that the full moon would be the strongest moon, but it's the exact opposite. A new moon is the strongest moon. A new moon, dark to us, is in line, earth, moon, and sun. And with that lineup of moon and sun's gravity, a new moon tide is either the lowest or the highest of tides. I learned as a kid that moon cycles were not important, but that was not fully correct. Our ancestors who lived by the sea, they knew better. The phases of the moon and the rising of the tides were matched together. When the moon set, that preceded the high and low tide by an hour. When the moon rose, the same thing. So knowing moon tides was a matter of survival for our ancestors who fished. Why? Well, never set sail against an incoming tide, because if somehow you actually manage to get the boat out onto the sea, you're not going to find any fish. Go fishing with the outgoing tide at just the right moment, and all those fish riding the high tide out to sea will be available to your nets. Science shows that emergency rooms, maternity wards, psychiatric units, they're not really any busier during a full moon than any other time, but yet science shows that the moon's gravity and light, it does alter animal behavior. I suspect we will discover through science that it alters ours as well at some point. Our ancestors watched the moon. The new moon marked the beginning of each month. They built calendars around the phases of the moon. Even today, the ancient calendars of China and the Jewish tradition still use the phases of the moon, the guide calendars. It's interesting that the new moon in the Jewish tradition is the Rosh Chodesh, a day when women get to take an extra day off, but Jewish men still have to keep working. I wonder if our modern calendar, as it comes to disconnect us from the natural world, has disconnected us in ways perhaps not so great for our health. So this year, the solstice in Indianapolis, about 6:30, the solstice, which literally means solstice, the sun stops. It stops appearing as if it's going away, and it appears to return. So here's one of the things about darkness. Every one of us was born out of a beautiful darkness, like Lillian this morning was just a few weeks ago, born from the darkness of a mother's womb. It's a blessed darkness, a beautiful one. And darkness, when I think of other ways that I can think of darkness, I think of the beautiful skin of people of color, the rich blue-black color of someone from Sudan or Senegal, the beautiful chocolate-colored skin of a person, the amazing color. This world is so beautiful. So after serving many congregations over many years, I've discovered there's a poetry to the phases of the moon, to the cycles of the moon, to the solstice and the seasons. But it's more than a poetry. It has within it spiritual truths. The gravity of the moon and the changing seasons has an effect on us, even if indirect. And they can be perhaps a metaphor, an example of how our children are like cycles of life in orbit around ours. The gravity of our children, our youth, truly each other, pulls our lives back and forth. Their moods affect ours. They can circle from light to dark. Our youth, for example, I think can be like a new moon, so that us adults find we are on the dark side. But you know what? We're still dependent on one another. Youth are dependent upon their adults for care, for sustenance. But you know, I have found in my life that adults like me are just as dependent on the gravity of their beloved youth. In the winter solstice, darkness and light remind us life's going to return. A midwife writes about helping to birth thousands of babies. She writes, "In my experiences, witnessing birth reveals a profound connection between the dark of a mother's womb and the light of new life." Our Western culture around us. Sometimes what is in orbit is in the light, and sometimes it is in the darkness. And yet all of these have their gravities, these presences, other people, other animals, the world. We sometimes can find ourselves in a darkness we didn't even choose to be in. We're changed, sometimes even by a darkness that's a result of the gravity of other people's lives. We have no choice about how others' lives change ours. Sometimes not even about how ours change the lives of others. Mara Freeman writes stories and thinks about spirituality, and she describes these unchosen changes. Change usually comes, she writes, unsought. We're going about our daily business, and then all of a sudden a divorce, death, sickness, the loss of a job, something upon which we have built an identity, an understanding of ourselves, is snatched away. We are plunged into the dark womb of the mother of changes. We are to be remade, reborn. Those who are in orbit around us, I believe, are gifts to us. I know this because I realized some years ago the importance of the orbit of youth. You know, how often youth can be off in a room, sometimes even during the service. And if we're not thinking, we don't even realize that we're not seeing them. Or a newcomer may not even realize we have youth. when they come to worship on a Sunday morning. But they're there. We who are youth are in an inescapable orbit around those of us who are adults or even our children. We see ourselves reflected back to each other in these orbits of life. We put and ask our youth into a position like we ask of our adults, to challenge easy ideas, unquestioned ideas, to ask questions, even of our most sacred assumptions. Our youth remind us to do this, just as those of us who are adults, I'm sure, once did this. So the reality is, I see this as an interim minister especially, all of this interchange of relationship, the gravity we have in each other's lives, and our discomfort with change, it can make church life complicated. So my favorite example is, how do the different generations pay their pledges? So I just stopped using old school paper checks. I thought, maybe I'll enter the 21st century. My dad was so old school, he just used cash. My youngest brother has long preferred electronic transfers managed by the internet, and my children have never written a paper check, and they prefer to pay their bills on their smartphones. I've had to learn how to use Venmo, and if you don't know what that is, you may be finding out. Across the generations, we're reminded that change is inevitable. And at the same time, we are rooted in each other's lives, in both the past and the future. We can try to resist the change. We can seek more safety. But in doing so, we make ourselves more vulnerable to the wrong things, to danger, to our fears. Let's put ourselves in orbit around our dreams and our hopes, our longings. Unitarian Universalism teaches us to be open to change. Not that we have to like it. And I've seen how other religious people sometimes confuse our thoughtful uncertainty with a belief that, you can believe anything you want in that church. Not true. Although we have an innumerable number of beliefs. We all believe differently. But we're not anything goes. It's not who we are. Our thoughtful uncertainty is something we hold dear because we don't want to finish our lives before we've even started to live. We surrender to the gifts of the darkness. We open ourselves to the gravity of each other's lives because we embrace life and love. It's not giving up. It's choosing to live with what is. It's choosing to be blessings in each other's lives. It's choosing to see the darkness as an opportunity to be reborn, re-inspired, renewed. The stories that come out of the traditions of the world, the religions of the world, are not stories of self-loathing or self-abnegation. They are stories about life. Even in the most difficult times, life will come back. Life will be renewed. Joy will be reborn. This is the celebration of this winter solstice. Here we are, opening ourselves to be religious in this way. We can't predict what's coming exactly. It remains unknown. We nurture it like a seed or a child. Something will grow, something beautiful, unexpected. And we need each other in that nurturing, that co-nurturing. We need the weight and gravity of each other's lives. Let's be pushed and pulled as invisible tides to one another. that our lives be renewed in a circle of blessed community, in our vulnerability, and create a space, a solstice space, in which our children, our youth, our elders, all of us can shelter safely. Let the life-giving darkness of the unknown become the birthing place of the lights of our lives. Happy solstice.
Good morning again, everyone. At this time in our service, we share our online connection card, which provides us with opportunities to more closely connect with the All Souls community today and every day. Some of the things that I would particularly like to draw your attention to this week include the opportunity to support Coburn Place this Christmas. Traditionally, we do this with a tree that we have in our atrium with ornaments, with lists of gifts that people can purchase. This year, instead, we had a window of opportunity open to purchase Scripps cards online, and also Coburn Place maintains a list on their website of needed items. So for example, if you're one of our families that is currently doing a reverse Advent calendar and adding an item for people in need to a box every day, you can bring those to us during our Christmas Eve service this year. We hope that you will come join us on Christmas Eve. It may be entertaining and spiritually fulfilling on several levels. There's a distinct possibility that your church and worship staff will be out in the parking lot in the snow while you sit warm and toasty in your car. So there are many things to look forward to. Please feel free to drop into our Soul Matters small group. It meets today at 12:30 on Zoom, and the topic for the month of December is stillness. This topic is also reflected across our faith formation programs and even our worship. So there's great opportunity for enrichment there. If you find yourself in need of some spiritual connection on Christmas morning, you can join Reverend Joel on Zoom from 11 a.m. to noon. And we're also having a New Year's Eve hike at Butler University in the Holcomb Gardens. We hope that you'll fill out this connection card at this time and also let us know of any pastoral care needs that you may have or that you may know of in our community. Thank you so much.
Everyone, we may have lost Graham, our worship associate, who normally gives this moment. So I'm going to go ahead and step in and do this for us. Each week, All Souls Unitarian Church chooses to share its plate with an organization that sees, that has a like-minded sensibility of the world, and we share a common vision and mission for how we live in our community. This week and all month, we're sharing our plate with the Coburn Place. The Coburn Place is an organization that helps to make sure that people who need sustenance and a place to live when they are struggling have those. And of course, as we all know, there are many people struggling right now during the pandemic. So we invite you to take a moment to give and give generously. The link to do that is in our chat, and half of today's collection will go to the Coburn Place. We thank you for joining us today. We'll have some offertory music while you have a chance to do that.
Go into the beautiful world now, carrying the lights, the beautiful lights of your spirits. And let your souls carry the darkness that is blessed and birth-giving. In a time when much is unknown, the certainty of love and connection can carry us through great difficulties and bring us and others back to great love and great beauty. Happy solstice, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Go in peace, be in peace.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We are particularly delighted to be able to celebrate Lily and Christine, and we are delighted that all of you were able to join us in that celebration. I apologize for the announcement slide. We have had a hectic tech morning, and so what you see on your screen is not accurate. But if you listen to the words, those will be accurate. So today we have a Soul Matters small group meeting at 12:30. Ollie Howe and myself will be facilitating, and we'll be talking about the theme of stillness. And you're welcome to join us. It's drop-in only, no RSVPs needed. The link is also on our website, so please do look at that. As Sarah has already mentioned, support for Coburn Place this Christmas can be dropped off at our Christmas Eve drive-in. Additionally, the Christmas Eve drive-in link will be sent out later today, so please keep an eye out for that announcement. Reverend Joel is also inviting anyone who wants a time of connection on Christmas morning to join him on Zoom, and those links are also available on our website. If you are celebrating Christmas by yourself this year, or if you and your family desire some more connection with the wider community, please do join us on Christmas morning. My tradition every year is to go on a New Year's hike the day of New Year's. So we stay up really late and we pop champagne and we watch the ball drop. And then the next morning on 3 hours of sleep, I usually drag a good cadre of friends out to do a hike in the ice. And I won't drag all of you out the day after New Year's Eve, but I do invite you to come to the 2 days after New Year's hike, really a walk at Holcomb Gardens at the Butler campus. So please check out the information for that. I find that walking and movement can be a wonderful celebration of renewal. And your coffee hour should be starting soon. Take this time to refill your coffee and center yourself a little bit, and then come back and be in community. Thank you.
circles around